Have you ever felt like your emotions control you? Like you're stuck in a cycle of attachment that drains your peace of mind? Today we'll explore how Stoic philosophy, drawn from the wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, can help you break free. Through 9 powerful Stoic rules, we'll uncover the path to emotional detachment, personal growth, and inner peace. In a world full of noise and constant distractions, Stoicism offers a way to regain control of your thoughts and find lasting calm. These lessons are more than just ideas. They are practical tools to help you let go of emotional burdens and live with clarity. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand how to detach, but you'll also feel empowered to reclaim your peace. If you're ready to transform your mindset, hit the like button and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more content like this. Rule 1. Embrace impermanence. The first step to emotional detachment is to understand the nature of impermanence. In Stoic philosophy, everything in life is temporary: relationships, emotions, possessions, and even the situations we find ourselves in. This understanding doesn't take away the value of life. Instead, it deepens our appreciation for the present moment. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." When you embrace the idea of impermanence, you free yourself from the burden of holding on to things or people that no longer serve your well-being. This detachment isn't about becoming cold or indifferent, but rather about recognizing that clinging to something out of fear of loss only brings suffering. By letting go, we regain control over our emotional state and begin to experience life with more clarity and peace. Think about how often we get caught up in the fear of losing someone or something we care about. It's a natural human reaction. But Stoicism teaches us that trying to resist loss is futile. Loss is part of life. When we accept this, we stop being controlled by external circumstances and start to cultivate inner strength. Imagine living a life where you are not constantly chasing the illusion of permanence. When we understand that everything is fleeting, we can shift our focus to what truly matters: our inner peace. The Stoic approach encourages us to focus on what we can control and to let go of what we cannot. This shift in focus gives us the power to direct our emotions rather than being ruled by them. A powerful way to practice this mindset is through mindfulness. By staying present in each moment, we can appreciate the transient nature of life without becoming attached. This doesn't mean we stop caring about others. It means we learn to love and experience life fully, knowing that everything is part of a natural cycle of change. To start embracing impermanence in your own life, take a moment to reflect on something you've been holding on to. Whether it's a relationship that has run its course, a mistake from the past, or an uncertain future event. Ask yourself, is this holding me back or helping me grow? By letting go of what no longer serves you, you make space for new opportunities, personal growth, and peace of mind. The key lesson here is that nothing is forever. The more we practice this, the more we empower ourselves to live freely, unburdened by the fear of loss or change. Stoicism offers us this freedom. Rule 2. Focus on what you can control. In Stoic philosophy, one of the most important lessons is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. This is at the core of emotional detachment. Often, we allow ourselves to be consumed by situations or people over which we have no real influence. This causes frustration, anxiety, and emotional turmoil. The key to freeing yourself from this is to shift your focus to the things you can control. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." We cannot control external events, the behavior of others, or the circumstances life throws at us. However, we can always control how we choose to respond. This principle is simple but incredibly powerful in helping us detach from external influences and emotional entanglements. Consider a time when you were deeply affected by someone else's actions. It might have been a loved one who said something hurtful, or perhaps a situation at work that felt unfair. You may have spent hours or even days replaying the event in your mind, wishing you could change it. But Stoicism reminds us that wasting time on what we cannot change only drains our energy. Instead, we should invest our energy into shaping our own reactions, which we have full control over. Imagine the sense of freedom that comes from focusing only on what you can control. Instead of stressing over how others might react or trying to manage situations that are beyond your influence, you can direct your attention to what truly matters: your thoughts, your actions, and your inner peace. This is how we regain emotional independence and build resilience. The Stoics encourage daily reflection as a tool for practicing this mindset. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what happened today that was beyond my control? And then reflect on how you reacted. Over time, you'll notice that the more you focus on what you can control, the less other people's behavior affects you. You begin to develop emotional boundaries that shield you from unnecessary stress. By making this shift in perspective, you will slowly free yourself from the emotional turmoil caused by external circumstances. Instead of feeling powerless, you become empowered. You realize that the only thing truly within your power is your own mind, and that is where real strength lies. Rule 3. Recognize the illusion of control. One of the most profound teachings in Stoic philosophy is the recognition of the illusion of control. Many of us go through life believing that if we work hard enough or care deeply enough, we can control the actions of others or influence outcomes. This mindset leads to frustration, anxiety, and emotional distress, because in reality, our control over external events is limited. What we can control is our inner world, our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, famously said, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them." This statement reveals that most of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from how we perceive those events. When we cling to the idea that we can control others or change circumstances, we set ourselves up for emotional turmoil. Stoicism teaches that emotional detachment starts with recognizing that we cannot control what happens outside of us, only how we respond to it. Consider a time when you felt emotionally drained by someone else's behavior. Maybe it was a partner who didn't meet your expectations, or a colleague at work whose actions frustrated you. How much energy did you spend trying to influence them or change the situation? Stoicism reminds us that no matter how hard we try, we cannot control what others think, feel, or do. We can only control our response to their actions. By accepting this, we stop giving away our emotional power. Imagine how liberating it would feel to stop trying to manage everything and everyone around you. When you accept that others are beyond your control, you can begin to detach emotionally. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It simply means you stop allowing their actions to dictate your emotional state. Instead, you turn inward and focus on mastering your own reactions, regaining a sense of calm and balance. Here's a practical way to apply this principle. The next time you find yourself feeling upset or stressed about someone else's behavior, pause and ask yourself, am I trying to control something outside of my power? If the answer is yes, shift your focus. Reflect on what you can control: your mindset, your emotions, your actions. This shift allows you to reclaim your emotional stability and focus on what truly matters: your personal growth and peace. In the end, recognizing the illusion of control is freeing. When you stop trying to control external events and others' actions, you regain control over the one thing that truly matters: your own mind. And within that lies your greatest strength. Rule 4. Differentiate love from attachment. One of the most challenging yet essential Stoic lessons is learning to differentiate between love and attachment. In Stoicism, love is seen as a pure expression of care and affection, while attachment often stems from a need for validation or a fear of loss. These two concepts may seem similar, but they lead to very different emotional outcomes. Love allows for freedom and growth, whereas attachment ties us down, creating dependence and emotional turmoil. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that we should love without clinging, allowing those we care about to live freely. In his words, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. The Stoics encourage us to love deeply, but not to mistake love for ownership or control. Consider how attachment can distort our relationships. When we are attached, we become overly invested in the outcomes of those relationships, measuring our self-worth by how others respond to us. This attachment often leads to fear. Fear of losing the person, fear of rejection, or fear of being alone. Stoicism teaches that love should not be driven by these fears, but rather by a genuine desire for the other person's well-being, with no strings attached. Imagine how liberating it would feel to love without fear of loss. True emotional detachment allows us to care deeply for others while maintaining our inner peace, regardless of the relationship's outcome. Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you love without needing the other person to fulfill your emotional needs. You let go of the need for their approval or presence to define your happiness. A practical step to embrace this Stoic mindset is to reflect on a relationship in your life. Ask yourself, am I loving this person for who they are, or am I attached to the idea of them meeting my needs? If you find that attachment is driving your emotions, practice shifting your focus back to your own personal growth and emotional independence. This doesn't mean distancing yourself from the person, but rather reclaiming your emotional power. When you differentiate love from attachment, you free yourself from emotional dependence and find a deeper sense of peace. Love becomes a source of joy, not a source of anxiety. And through the Stoic lens, you learn to love more fully, not with need or expectation, but with freedom and strength. Rule 5. Realize you are complete as you are. In Stoic philosophy, one of the most powerful realizations is that you are complete as you are. True happiness and self-worth do not depend on external validation or the approval of others. This realization is essential for emotional detachment. When you internalize the idea that your value is intrinsic, you stop seeking validation from others, freeing yourself from emotional dependence. Epictetus famously said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This concept goes beyond material wealth. It also applies to emotional and psychological wealth. If you constantly seek approval or rely on others to define your self-worth, you will always feel lacking. The key is to realize that you are enough as you are, regardless of how others perceive you. Think about how often we look for validation from external sources. Social media, for example, encourages us to chase likes, comments, and followers as symbols of worth. But the Stoics remind us that these external markers are fleeting. What truly matters is how you view yourself, not how others perceive you. When you detach your self-worth from external opinions, you gain emotional independence and the ability to cultivate inner peace. Imagine living a life where your happiness is not tied to how others see you. When you understand that your value is inherent, you free yourself from the constant need to prove your worth. This doesn't mean you stop caring about others or their opinions, but it does mean you no longer let those opinions dictate your emotional state. A practical way to apply this principle is to practice self-reflection. Ask yourself, am I seeking validation from others to feel worthy? If the answer is yes, take a step back and remind yourself that your worth comes from within. Engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment, not because of how others will perceive you, but because they align with your values and passions. By realizing that you are complete, you become emotionally resilient. You stop relying on others for your happiness and start finding contentment within. This shift is key to emotional detachment and personal growth. You become less affected by external praise or criticism because you know that your worth is unshakable. Embrace this Stoic truth. Your value is not dependent on anyone else. You are enough, just as you are. Rule 6. Stay present and mindful. In the pursuit of emotional detachment, one of the most transformative practices in Stoic philosophy is learning to stay present and mindful. Life often pulls us in different directions, with our minds either stuck in the past or worrying about the future. This constant mental noise clouds our judgment and keeps us from fully engaging in the present moment. The Stoics, however, teach us that peace and clarity come from focusing on the here and now. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and a key figure in Stoicism, emphasized the importance of living in the present. Confine yourself to the present. By staying mindful, we free ourselves from regrets about the past and anxiety about the future. Emotional detachment requires us to let go of these mental distractions and ground ourselves in what we can control. The present. Think about how often you find yourself dwelling on a past mistake, or worrying about what might happen tomorrow. These thoughts not only drain your energy, but also rob you of the ability to experience life as it unfolds. The Stoic approach to mindfulness helps us break free from this cycle, enabling us to detach from emotional clutter that comes from living outside the present moment. Imagine the calmness that comes with being fully present, whether you're having a conversation with a loved one, enjoying a meal, or simply going for a walk. By practicing mindfulness, you train your mind to appreciate the beauty of each moment without being weighed down by what has happened or what might happen. This clarity of thought is essential for emotional detachment because it allows you to focus only on what is real and in front of you. To incorporate mindfulness into your daily life, start with simple practices. Whenever you catch yourself spiraling into worries or past regrets, gently bring your attention back to your breath. Notice the sensations around you, the air, the sounds, and the physical sensations. This simple act of grounding yourself in the present helps you release attachment to things outside your control and cultivates inner peace. As you make mindfulness a daily habit, you'll notice a shift in how you perceive the world. You'll no longer be driven by the emotional ups and downs tied to past events or future uncertainties. Instead, you'll experience life more fully, with a clear mind and a steady heart. The lesson here is simple but powerful. By staying present, you reclaim control over your emotions. In this moment, you find the peace that is always available, no matter what life throws your way. Rule 7. Set clear boundaries for emotional protection. In Stoicism, setting clear boundaries is essential for maintaining emotional balance and protecting your inner peace. Without boundaries, we risk becoming emotionally entangled in situations that drain our energy, disrupt our well-being, and cloud our judgment. Learning to set boundaries doesn't mean you are pushing people away. It means you are valuing your mental and emotional health by protecting your space. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, believed that we must control our environment to nurture our inner peace. He once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This quote reminds us that the people we allow into our lives greatly influence our emotional state. Boundaries are a way to ensure that our relationships are healthy, supportive, and aligned with our values. Think about the times when you felt emotionally overwhelmed because you couldn't say no to someone or found yourself caught in a toxic situation. Without clear boundaries, we often absorb others' emotions, frustrations, or even their expectations. This leads to emotional exhaustion and diminishes our ability to stay grounded. Setting boundaries helps prevent this emotional entanglement, allowing you to maintain your own peace of mind. Imagine a scenario where you've established firm boundaries. You no longer feel guilty for saying no when something doesn't serve your well-being. You don't feel the need to fix other people's problems or take on their emotional baggage. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your emotions, and how you react to the world around you. This emotional clarity gives you the strength to detach from situations that threaten your peace. To practice setting boundaries, start by identifying the areas in your life where you feel emotionally drained. Is it a relationship where you're constantly giving without receiving? Is it a work environment where you're overextending yourself? Once you've pinpointed these areas, practice asserting your needs calmly and confidently. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, you'll find that boundaries help you cultivate healthier relationships and maintain emotional independence. Remember, boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for how you wish to be treated and how you choose to interact with the world. By establishing these boundaries, you create space for personal growth, emotional resilience, and deeper connections based on mutual respect. The Stoic lesson here is clear. Setting boundaries isn't about rejecting others, but about protecting your peace. In doing so, you ensure that your emotional energy is spent wisely, helping you remain steady and focused on your path to personal growth. Rule 8. Let go of what no longer serves you. A fundamental principle in Stoicism is learning to let go of what no longer serves you. This is at the heart of emotional detachment. In life, we often cling to things, people, or situations that have outlived their purpose. We hold on to them out of habit, fear, or a sense of obligation, even though they drain our energy and prevent us from moving forward. Letting go is not an act of coldness, but an essential step toward personal growth and inner peace. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Stoicism encourages us to examine the attachments we have, whether to relationships, material possessions, or past events, and question whether they are truly serving us or simply weighing us down. Emotional detachment requires us to free ourselves from what no longer aligns with our growth. Think about the times when you've held on to something long after it stopped benefiting you. It could be a friendship that has grown toxic, a job that no longer fulfills you, or even an idea of how life should be. Clinging to these attachments often leads to frustration, disappointment, and emotional stagnation. Stoic philosophy teaches us that life is about change, and to grow, we must release what no longer fits into the path ahead. Imagine the freedom that comes with letting go. When you release something that no longer serves your well-being, you create space for new opportunities, healthier relationships, and personal fulfillment. Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about trusting that the future holds something better, something more aligned with who you are becoming. To practice letting go, start by reflecting on an area in your life where you feel stuck or emotionally burdened. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow, or is it keeping me stagnant? If it no longer serves your best interests, it may be time to release it. This can be a difficult process, but it's a necessary one for emotional freedom. When you let go of what doesn't serve you, you reclaim your energy and allow room for growth. Remember, letting go doesn't mean you are indifferent or uncaring. It means you value your peace of mind enough to release what hinders your progress. By embracing this Stoic principle, you will find that life becomes lighter, clearer, and more focused on what truly matters. Letting go is not the end. It is the beginning of a new chapter, one that is defined by emotional strength and resilience. Rule 9. Find joy in freedom. In Stoic philosophy, true happiness and joy come from freedom, the freedom to live life unburdened by emotional attachments or external validation. Many of us mistakenly believe that happiness depends on others or external circumstances. We think that a relationship, job, or approval from others will bring lasting fulfillment. But the Stoics remind us that real joy is found within, and it stems from emotional detachment and independence. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This quote embodies the Stoic ideal of finding joy in self-mastery, rather than in the fleeting emotions tied to people or possessions. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or enjoying life. Instead, it means you cultivate a deep sense of inner freedom, where your happiness isn't at the mercy of others or changing circumstances. Consider how often we tie our emotional state to things beyond our control. Maybe it's waiting for praise at work, relying on a partner to make us feel complete, or believing that success equals happiness. Stoicism teaches us that these external factors are unstable. They come and go, and when they do, they can leave us feeling empty. True joy comes when we realize that our contentment does not depend on anything outside ourselves. Imagine a life where you no longer rely on others' opinions to feel worthy. A life where your happiness isn't tied to material success or relationships. This is the freedom Stoicism offers. It's the joy of knowing that you are enough, that peace comes from mastering your emotions, and that no external event can take that peace away from you. To practice this, reflect on a time when your happiness was tied to someone else's actions, or to an outcome that was beyond your control. Did it bring lasting joy, or did it create anxiety and fear of losing that happiness? Now, imagine if your joy wasn't dependent on those external factors. What would that feel like? By embracing emotional detachment, you free yourself from the highs and lows of external validation and experience a more stable, lasting sense of happiness. The Stoic path to joy is simple. Focus on what's within your control and let go of what isn't. When you master your mind and emotions, you unlock the freedom to live fully and joyfully. You no longer chase happiness outside yourself because you understand that it's already within you. This inner freedom is the key to true, lasting joy. In conclusion, in Stoic philosophy, emotional detachment is not about shutting out the world, but about mastering your inner self. Through these 9 Stoic rules, you've learned how to let go of attachments, focus on what you can control, and find peace within. By embracing impermanence, setting boundaries, and practicing mindfulness, you can live a life of emotional resilience and inner freedom. Remember, true strength lies in mastering your mind and emotions. When you stop relying on external factors for happiness, you discover that peace is always within reach. Stoicism gives you the tools to live fully, with clarity and purpose. If you found these lessons helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official. By subscribing, you'll join a community committed to mastering the Stoic mindset and living with strength, purpose, and peace.